Hello everyone, this is Gut Check Time. I'm your host. Today is October 3rd, and I will be filming this while this game is going on, or while one of these games is going on. But I don't really know the outcome yet, so we're still good on that. And my picks wouldn't change anyways. We're going to be talking about the MLB Playoffs today. It's going to be the Atlanta Braves versus the St. Louis Cardinals. But first, can you please hit that like button at any point during this video, now, in the middle, or later? Doesn't matter. And then could you please hit the subscribe button if you want to see more content like this in the future. Thank you for doing that. Okay, St. Louis Cardinals versus Atlanta Braves. They played each other in the regular season. The Braves went 4-2 versus the Cardinals, and that doesn't really matter. A couple years ago, 2015, I believe the year was, when the Mets made the World Series, the Cubs were 7-0 in the regular season versus the Mets. The Mets swept them, so it does not matter, but that's what the record was during the regular season. Okay, this to me is going to come down to bullpens, and I trust the Cardinals bullpen over the Braves bullpen. I think the starting pitching is pretty even. The reason I say that is you have Jack Flaherty, who was probably the best starting pitcher in all of baseball the second half of the year after the All-Star break with a .91 earned run average. And then you have Miles Mikolas, Dallas Keuchel. I think those guys are pretty even. I think Keuchel, obviously, you'd give the edge in experience to with the World Series with the Astros. And then game 3, you're going to get Mike Soroka versus Adam Wainwright. Obviously, experience goes to Wainwright, but I'd say Soroka at this point is probably the better pitcher. And then in game 2, you have Mike Foltynewicz versus the guy I just talked about, Jack Flaherty. So I think it's pretty even starting pitching-wise, but I'd give the bullpen edge to the Cardinals, especially their closer and Hicks. Now the Braves did try to become a formidable bullpen in acquiring Mark Melancon from the Giants, and also requiring Shane Green from the Detroit Tigers. So I think that's helped a little bit, but they're still not on par to me with the Cardinals. Lineup-wise, I think these are both very good lineups, with the Braves having Freddie Freeman, Ozzie Albies, Ronald Acuna, and Nick Markakis. Very good lineup. And then the Cardinals having Yadier Molina, Paul Goldschmidt, Harrison Bader, players like that, Colton Wong, Matt Carpenter. They're a good baseball team. Obviously, they made the playoffs. I'm going to take the Cardinals to win this series, actually. I'm going to take them to win in 5 games, even though the Braves do have home field advantage and the Braves are the favorite team. I just feel like there's going to be an upset in either the AL and NL and these DSs, and I think this is going to be the one. I think the Cardinals are going to upset the Braves in 5 games here. And the reason for that is also the Braves have their 2 best players are Freddie Freeman and Acuna. Both of them have been injured down the stretch. Freddie Freeman has played very badly down the stretch, and I just feel like that's a huge loss. And you're gonna have them rekindle some of that magic they had in the first half of the season. They have the talent. They're both really good players. Eventually this team's probably gonna get to a World Series with the talent they have. I just don't see it this year. And for that reason, with their best 2 players kind of being iffy and injured down the stretch, I'm going to go with the Cardinals in 5. Next up, we're going to be talking about the Washington Nationals at the LA Dodgers. It's going to be a fun series, especially pitching-wise. You have the likes of Strasburg, Kershaw, Ryu, Buehler, Strasburg, and Corbin even. And it's just a really good pitching matchup. For game 1, we're going to get Corbin versus Buehler since Scherzer pitched in the wildcard game, and Strasburg pitched 4 innings in the wildcard game, so those 2 couldn't really go after a day's rest. And then we are going to get Strasburg versus Kershaw in game 2, and Scherzer versus Ryu in game 3. These teams are loaded, obviously, pitching-wise, but then also on the offensive side, I think the Dodgers have a little bit better of an offense here with Justin Turner and probably your NL MVP and Cody Bellinger. Now, the Nationals have an MVP candidate in their own right with Anthony Rendon. He's very good. Very underrated baseball player. Most people don't know about him. But the Dodgers have the second best record in baseball for a reason and the best in the NL for a reason. So I think they're going to win this series. I think they're going to win it in 4 games. I just feel like their offense is just a little bit better than the Nationals, and the pitching's even. So if the pitching's even, the offense is a little bit better, I'm going to take the Dodgers in 4. And I just feel like they're hungry. They've lost the World Series back-to-back years. They at least want to make it back there. So I see them winning this series in 4 games. The thing is, though, in the regular season, the Dodgers didn't win in the regular season 4-3, so pretty close. But the thing is, they haven't played since July. That's like a whole other year. That's like a whole year ago in baseball terms. I mean, you're looking at August, September, and now they're playing in October. That was 3 months ago. These are two totally different teams, in my opinion, since then. So I'm going to take the Dodgers, like I said, in 4 games, though. So that would put the St. Louis Cardinals versus the LA Dodgers in the NLCS, and I'm going to say right now that'd be a pretty boring NLCS to me. I think for those fan bases, obviously it'd be fun, and for the baseball world. But what I mean by boring is I think the Dodgers are going to roll them. I think the Dodgers win that series in 5 games. I think you give the starting pitching edge to the Dodgers. You give the lineup edge to the Dodgers. The bullpen edge goes to the Cardinals. But the thing is, I think the Dodgers will be able to, their starting pitchers would be able to go 6-7 innings. And if they're up by 3 runs, I think the bullpen can sustain that lead just having to pitch 2 innings. I have the Dodgers representing the NL in the World Series. So now we're going to flip it to the AL side. We're going to talk about Tampa Bay versus Houston. Houston, the best record of baseball, 107 wins. Loaded team all the way around. I think they're probably the most loaded team in baseball, and that hurts me to say as a Yankees fan. They're going to be playing the Rays after the Rays came off a very exciting win in Oakland, 5-1 yesterday. The series will be starting tomorrow on Friday, October 4th. We're going to have Tyler Glasnow versus Justin Verlander. Glasnow, coming off an injury, was in line probably to be the AL Rookie of the Year if he didn't get hurt. And if he I believe made the All-Star team even with the injury. I'm not sure about that. He was either on pace to make the All-Star team or made the All-Star team. I'd have to check. And then we have Justin Verlander, probably the best pitcher of my generation. He's just amazing. He just got his 300th or 3,000th strikeout, and he's going to add on to that. I don't see him slowing down anytime soon. And then you have Garrett Cole to go along with him, the best 1-2 punch strikeout wise since Kurt Schilling and Randy Johnson for the Diamondbacks in the early 2000s. The Astros are so good they could sweep the Cy Young in the AL, the MVP in the AL, and the Rookie of the Year in the AL. They're guaranteed 2. They're definitely going to get the AL Cy Young, whether it be Garrett Cole or Justin Verlander, and then you're going to get Jordan Alvarez winning the AL Rookie of the Year. He had 27 home runs in only 87 games. That's a ridiculous pace. And then Alex Bregman could be competing for the MVP it's going to probably come down between him and Mike Trout for AL MVP. So you could sweep all 3. I don't know if that's ever been done. And then for game 2, you have Blake Snell, who's been injured most of the year, versus Garrett Cole, and Charlie Morton versus Zach Greinke. Charlie Morton facing his old team. I think that's a pretty even pitching matchup when healthy. I think Tyler Glasnow is a really good pitcher. I think you can line him up versus those guys, and he'd pitch pretty well, but he's been injured, so I don't know what to expect. Same with Blake Snell last year, who I believe won the AL Cy Young. He's been injured for most of the year, so I don't know really what you're going to get out of him. Neither have pitched over 5 innings since they've returned from the IL. And then Charlie Morton, we saw what he does. Even when he doesn't have his best stuff, he's a very good pitcher, one of the top probably 12 pitchers in all of baseball. They also got a very good surprise, the Rays did, with Yandy Diaz coming back from the IL. He came back last Sunday. He cranked 2 home runs in the wild card game. Nothing more you could ask for from him, and they really needed it, because without those 2 home runs to kind of set the tone in that game, who knows what would have happened. I think these lineups are good. I think the Astros is obviously better with Bregman, Altuve, Correa, Jordan Alvarez, Michael Brantley, who they added in the offseason, and who was third. He was either second and third in hitting. I know Tim Anderson led Major League Baseball in hitting, and then I believe it was DJ LeMahieu, Michael Brantley. But just an excellent addition, especially bringing left-handed power to that lineup that needed some, with losing switch hitter Marwin Gonzalez in the offseason to the Twins. And then you also have someone like Yuri Gurriel, who just can get out of bed and hit you 275. Great hitter. But then, as I was speaking on the Rays with Yandy Diaz, they have good players too. Tommy Pham, Travis d'Arnaud, Austin Meadows, players like that. They're not as, I think the lineup for the Astros is more potent. I think the lineup for the Rays is probably more even. I don't think you can say, look down that lineup and say, man, any of them scare you, but none of them are easy outs either. I'm going to take Houston to win this series in 4 games. I just think they're better everywhere. I think they're better in the bullpen. I think they're better in starting pitching, and I think they're better in offense. So I'm taking Houston in 4 games. And then, of course, the Minnesota Twins versus my New York Yankees. Yankees won the season series 4-2, and in the playoffs all time, the Yankees are 13-2 in games versus the Rays. To me, that doesn't mean anything. Derek Jeter's not on the team anymore. Alex Rodriguez is not on the team anymore. Robinson Cano's not on the team anymore. So that's old. That's the past. We haven't played them in the postseason since, I believe, 2014, 2012, somewhere around there. Game 1, my Yankees give the ball to James Paxton, who had an unbelievable second half of the season, especially his last 10 starts. He won all of those games. It's going to be James Paxton versus Jake Odorizzi, and then Game 2 is going to be Masahiro Tanaka versus Jose Barrios. Game 3 is going to be Luis Severino versus Kyle Gibson, most likely. I don't really know what to say. That series in July for the regular season was one of the best series I've ever seen in regular season baseball. It was high scoring. The Yankees at one point in the second game of that series, I think, were losing 7-1 and came back and won the game. It was a fun series to watch. It was nothing but home runs, doubles, triples. You got everything you wanted offensively. Very high scoring games. Very fun 3-game series. And Aaron Judge, after the series, said, we're going to get to see these guys at some point again. He was right. We're playing them in the first round of the playoffs. This team shouldn't be taken lightly. I'm scared of them because they can do damage at any point during their lineup. They have 10 or 11 guys with 10 home runs each. The Yankees have 12 or 13 guys with 10 home runs each. I expect a lot of home runs in this series. I expect it to be an offensive explosion. I expect it to be a really fun series. You know what that means? It'll probably be defensive, boring, and a lot of pitching. But guess what? I don't care as long as my Yankees get the win, and I'm going to take the Yankees to win this series in 5 games. I think it will be a close series, obviously going down to the last game, but I do expect my Yankees to come out on top in the 5th game of that series. So that puts Houston versus New York in. If I was making videos preseason, I would have gone Houston versus New York in the AL. I don't know who I would have gone in the NL. I probably would have went Dodgers. I don't know who I would have put versus them. It would not have been the St. Louis Cardinals. It probably would have been the Philadelphia Phillies, if you want me to be honest. And obviously, they didn't even make the playoffs, so that wouldn't have been a good pick. But I just thought all along, since the beginning of the season, this was a collision course. And I also believe whoever comes out of the AL is winning the World Series. I believe the Dodgers are chokers. I don't believe anyone in the NL can compete with the Twins, the Yankees, or the Astros. Tampa Bay, if they somehow make it, would probably lose. They're not making it, though. I don't see any chance of that happening. But I believe one of those 3 teams will be the World Series winners. Now let's move on. Like I said, Houston versus New York. Wow. It's going to be a really good series. I really wish we had home field advantage for the series. We don't. I'm going to be rooting for the Yankees. But I just believe their starting pitcher is a little bit better than ours, obviously. Now, our starting pitching is underrated. Paxton, Tanaka, and Severino can get the job done. And I'm fine with them going up against Greinke, Cole, and Verlander. Especially, I don't know how Cole's going to react in the postseason. Greinke doesn't have great numbers in the postseason. We obviously know what Justin Verlander is. He's an all-time great pitcher. I'm going to take my Yankees. Screw it. I'm going with it. I'm taking the Yankees to win this in 7 games. I think it comes down the wire. I think this is a coin flip series. I really do. I think these teams are far and away the 2 best teams in baseball. The Yankees have the best record versus teams over 500, so I expect that to show through in this series. I'm taking the Yankees to win to go to the World Series. Then it's going to be Yankees versus Dodgers. And I told you what was going to happen. I said whoever comes out of the AL is going to win the World Series. I'm going to take the Yankees to win the World Series. I just feel like they're loaded everywhere. If they can get 5 innings out of every one of their starters and only give up 1 to 2 runs, they'll kill everyone. They have a dynamic offense from 1 to 9 through the order. They have great bullpen with Canely, Ottavino, Chapman, Green, players like that. And I wish we had Betances because that'd even make it more loaded than it already is. So I'm taking the Yankees to win the World Series in 6 games versus the Dodgers. Like I said, though, Houston versus New York is a coin flip series, and whoever comes out of that, I believe, wins the World Series. I think the ALCS is the de facto World Series. Whoever comes out of there wins. I have the Yankees coming out of there. I have the Yankees winning the World Series in 6 games versus the Dodgers. Thank you for watching this video. Please like the video.